Ready? Here we go.
People spend a lifetime searching for their purpose. Come walk in my shoes as I find mine.
You're now listening to the JK Experience.
Going, okay, I'm going to take full responsibility for the happiness in my life.
Good for you. You feel you're talented in that. Pursue that. Who gives a crap what everybody else says, right?
When you are disciplined about how you take action on the things that you desire to accomplish, does it make you better? Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the JK Experience. James,
Hello.
it's good to have you.
It's good to be here.
Yeah,
It
seriously.
really is.
For all those that are watching on the vlog, you gotta like the background. We mixed it up, we changed it up, and I really dig in the background and the colors. I mean, and there's more to come, by the way. So the next vlog is gonna need to look even better than this one.
Believe it. So you can see a little glimpse of this. There was the vlog. I'm sorry, the vlog / podcast that's gone a little bit viral.
Yes.
Is the one with you and Todd and Shannon, and then there's one right now circulating with just you and Todd.
Yeah.
And you see a little bit of this in there.
Yeah, that was a sneak peek.
Normally I don't watch your crap, but as we were getting ready for work this morning, I hear voices in the bedroom, right? And it's Mandy in the bedroom, right? But I hear these male voices, and I'm like, all right. So I go in there.
With your switchblade.
I go in there gun drawn, right? and it's Mandy sitting there putting on her makeup and stuff, and she's got her phone playing, and the video is playing of you and Todd on the team or not the team.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I'm like, I was so hurt because Mandy doesn't even watch our podcast, but she's watching you and Todd. So
she does watch our podcast. She just doesn't do it in front of you, buddy.
I don't know. It'd be nice to know if she was.
She does. I promise you that.
That was a fun
I mean, speaking of, you're right. That was an awesome episode with Shannon and Todd.
Yeah.
We just got back from leadership with Coldwell Banker in Chicago. And I tell you what, right now, we did 3 amazing videos with some massively awesome brokers. So I can't wait to get those out there. You guys as an audience, you guys are in for a treat. This is going to be ones that you do not want to miss. So
from what I've heard, pretty
excited.
revolutionary stuff, and I'm looking forward to hearing it and being able to implement it here.
Yeah, exactly. All right, hey, I want to hit you. I want to talk about this today. And it's just really kind of off this quote. It says, "What you allow is what you will continue. What you allow is what you will continue." And the reason I want to hit that on today's conversation is I really want to unpack this even more. I'm doing that 75 hard. I'm on day 24, day 25 right now. And I really am enjoying this process. And one of the things that's kind of unfolding for me is that I'm starting to take control over certain areas of my life and seeing how they impact other areas of my life. So what I mean by that is I know that I've got some really big business goals that I want to accomplish, that we want to accomplish as a company, right?
Yep.
And I've noticed that when I start winning, when I start accomplishing other personal goals, I am so much more of a powerful person in that other area of my life.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah, there's when you first mention that, and again, when you present these concepts, I'm constantly kind of rolling through them, trying to figure out how they implement or how they can implement, and how they affect me and the people around me. So when I was thinking about that, I'm like, yeah, you know what? If any part of your life, right, if any one of those 4 cores is out of balance, it's going to affect something else.
Right.
So that's a great point.
When we talk about, when they're not aligned, how it's going to impact, right, your areas. But we never talk about, hey, when you are doing amazing things in your health and vitality, like when you are staying in those we call disciplines, but let's say, when you're working out, when you're eating healthy, when you're doing the things that make you the most optimal health-wise that you can be, it's amazing how much better you can be in business. It's amazing how much better you are in your relationships, because it's a positive thing that bleeds over into other areas of your life. We always talk about, I think people oftentimes too often talk about the negativity. This is the positive part about it, right?
Yeah.
So when you're killing it in business, it should be feeding over into the other areas of your life. It shouldn't be, which happens a lot of the times, is when you're really doing well in one area of your life, you're completely neglecting these other areas of your life.
Yes.
So relationships, health and vitality, maybe just even your business. It shouldn't it shouldn't be taking away. It should be adding to those other areas of your life.
You got it. There's so much to be said about that because, and I've mentioned this before. If you look at successful people in any section of business or any segment of business, they if they're really super successful, they probably work out, right? They probably have a certain amount of faith in their life. Mm-hmm. And when those things are in balance, they really do great things, mm-hmm. right? And I've said this about the gym. If somebody's willing to get up at 4 a.m. and go work out, they're probably also willing to put in the extra work to be successful in their business.
Right. Well, and I would agree. Yeah, there is definitely a very high percentage of achievers that are so disciplined and so great in those areas of their lives. But I will tell you from personal experience, so many achievers are neglecting major areas of their life. They are so all in one area, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, whether it's health and vitality, and they're destroying the other areas of their life because they're just consumed by that one. So, and I know this because I was for many years I searched for leaders. I searched for mentors, not only just with that were writing books or that were leading companies, but people that just were even around my sphere that I could latch onto and say, I want what you have. Not in the sense of like jealousy, but like I want a life like on fire that you are living like. And it's very challenging to find people that are crushing it in their health and vitality, crushing it in their relationships that are healthy with their spouse and their children and those that they love and want to be around, and then crushing it in business where they're feeling like they're optimal and they're using the best use of their time in order to advance themselves so that they achieve those goals in their life.
You got it. But it is so hard to keep that balance, right? Because inevitably, if we get so focused on one thing, we end up neglecting something else. So, hey man, when you figure that out, let me know, because I definitely want to know how you keep those plates spinning.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, let's just kind of address that really quick. First of all, it's having a great group of people around you that are constantly making sure and checking in on you to see how those areas of your life are going. So I think having really good accountability people that want the best for you and are willing to have the hard conversation with you. We all surround ourselves. We typically do this it's natural to surround ourselves with people that are going to give us the encouragement that we want to hear, right? Or the self-pity that we want to hear in those times. Very rarely will we try to track down somebody that will actually have a hard conversation with us, that will tell us stuff that we don't want to hear, but we definitely need to hear it. And that's usually called a coach and usually called a mentor, but it also could be somebody that could just be a really good friend, or somebody that, hey, maybe they're not even necessarily a friend, but you admire them. And you kind of sit at their feet and say, hey, I want my life to be different. And I've identified you as someone that can help me get there. Would you be willing to hold me accountable in my life?
That's great. But the other side of that is, it takes a lot of humility to be willing to ask that of somebody, right?
Yes.
How many people are willing to do that,
Yes.
right? I mean, you and I have a great relationship. I feel like we have that with each other.
Right.
But to reach out to somebody outside of our business arrangement and go there, that's tough.
Yeah. And most people won't. And you're absolutely right. Most people will not have the humility. And you guys are listening to this right now, so this might be you. Just a heads up, like ding, ding, ding. If you do not have that humility where you can actually go to somebody that is an acquaintance or somebody that you admire and ask for them to be a role model, accountability person in your life, then you are not as humble as you think you are.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of my passions outside of here is, of course, hunting. And the guy that I just met up with before we had this podcast, super successful hunter. I mean, the guy is like all-star hunter. He's accomplished so many great things. And so I asked him, I said, hey man, would you consider sitting down and doing a quick podcast with me? Just, so I can ask you some of your stuff. And he's like, nope, won't do it. My stuff's not for sale. And I'm like, what do you mean? Right? I'm like, I want to learn. Right. And he's like, do it like I did, figure it out. Right. Wow. So when you finally do muster up the courage, you might even get shut down. But here's the thing. Here's what it prompted me to do. It prompted me to figure out someone else on his level.
Right.
Maybe that person isn't in Casper. Somebody else on his level. I'm going to reach out to him now, and I'm going to go, hey man, you're not the only one with the answers. I'm going to see what this person knows.
Yeah.
Right. So if you do work up the courage and you get shot down, hey, I don't have time for that, whatever, man, look elsewhere, because there are lots of people out there who can mentor you in that.
Two things that make me think of what that I want to respond to that scenario you said. First of all, do you think this guy's living in scarcity or abundance?
Oh, scarcity. And
right?
I was going to tell you that as soon as I got back, but we got tied up. But definitely he is in all scarcity. I mean, and so then he went on to tell me, hey, listen, I've been thinking about writing a book called Figure It Out Yourself. And I'm like, who would buy it?
Yeah,
right? Who's
right.
going to buy that book, a how-to book called Figure It Out Yourself? No. Right.
Yeah.
So very much scarcity.
Yeah. He's got one buyer.
Yeah.
Himself.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe his mom.
Maybe his mom. The other thing that I've been thinking about too, or that I want to ask you this is, did it actually help you understand, like, that's not the person? Like, thank you for what you did. That is not. That is you are everything I do not want to be.
Absolutely, right? Because that's not who I am. Like, I will share all. It's just like what we do here, right? We're not keeping our stuff a secret. If we figure out a great marketing strategy, we share it. Like, we share it with not only the agents in our office, we're usually sharing it on social media, and everybody gets to see it, right?
Yeah.
We're not trying to keep those trade secrets to ourselves, because we never know who we're going to impact with that stuff. So it did. It told me right now, I'm like, okay, you know what? The guy's great. He'll go up and eat rocks to hunt, and I aspire to be at that level, but I'll never be that guy.
Yeah.
So that's great observation there by you.
Interesting. Well, I mean, and I've had that. I really have had that, and I think you make a really great point. Actually, I know you make a really great point. Is that we typically all of those that have actually gone out on that ledge and tried to step foot over and grab a mentor to ask that question for somebody that you want them to be in your life. You probably have been rejected.
Yeah.
You probably have had somebody tell you, "Dude, I just don't have the time," or, honestly, I appreciate that. I'm flattered, but I really don't think I'm going to bring anything to you, so I just really want to turn this down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that does happen.
Yep,
That's the reality of it. But it helps you understand who you don't want to be.
You got it.
And if that's truly how they are, that's not the person you want mentoring them anyways, right?
Nope.
And there's enough people in this world, I will tell you, there's enough great leaders, enough good people that do want to pour into the lives of other people. You just have to continue to keep searching. And if the road was easy, everybody would be doing it.
You got it. That is so true. And again, it's like I said, there is somebody else out there, and on the drive back to the office, I'm already identifying people in my mind. I'm like, you know what? Here's who I'm going to reach out to next. Yeah. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it's probably somebody who's more fitted to sharing that information, right?
Yeah.
And being that person.
Yeah.
So that's great. Great point.
Yeah. So let's go back to what you allow is what you will continue. And you'll continue in your life, in your business, in your health and vitality, all these things. That's why at the end of that it's just kind of an empty statement, because you will continue and fill the blank in, right? And so what I want you to do is thinking about a couple questions here. Just did a podcast with Scott Silverian, and we talked about, like, when you're in the fourth quarter of the year, what are the questions you should be asking yourself? And there's 4 things it should be that you should really be honing down into. And I think it really applies to this right here, right? So what you allow is what you will continue. So how do you know what you're allowing? Right?
True.
I mean, seriously, like, you have to take some time to reflect. So the first question I would ask you to do is sit down and say, okay, well, what is working in my life right now? Right? So in my relationships, what's working? In my health and vitality, what's working? In my business, what is working, right? There's really, we got the 4 core, but I really talk about 3 of them.
Sure.
I don't want to totally R&D somebody else's stuff. But what is working in your life right now, and highlight those things. And then, do you want to elevate them? Do you want more out of those things that are working in your life? And if you do, then you got to tag those, right?
Yep.
You got to just highlight and say, okay, how am I going to do that, right? The other thing is, like, what's broken? Like, what is broken in my world right now that if I was intentional about changing, they would make a better impact in my life?
Well, I think as you're doing that audit, if you can't answer any one of those first 4, hey, what's working for you? You don't have to ask the second question, do you? Right? Like, if it's like, hey, my business is good, my health and vitality is good, relationship, boom, there you go, right? Now you know what's broken.
Well,
right?
yeah, to a certain point, but I mean, honestly, like let's say this: so if I'm looking at what's working in my life, and I say, you know what, hey, Kate and I's relationship is on fire.
Sure.
We're doing date night. I'm going above and beyond in the areas to be a great husband. I know, like, I'm intentional with those aspects.
Yep.
But then I can also go like, what's broken? Well, man, I know the relationship that I have with my brother is not as nearly good as it
Oh,
is.
gotcha.
It
So
should
you're
be,
going
right?
deeper than
Yeah.
just
So
okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So you're really
I
looking
feel
at even more intentionally the areas, or like your business. Man, maybe your business is crushing it, and you look and you go, okay, well, what's broken in my business? Well, to be honest with you, man, my lead follow-up is really not as good. Or, man, I'm not staying in touch, or I'm not recruiting, or I'm not, you can see how you can do it. There's still areas of every aspect of your life that really could be broken.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you explained that, because that's what I was looking at face value, and it makes way more sense, right? Because yeah, if it is, what is it that you could improve on, right? So that's good point.
Yeah. So number 3, the third question you need to be asking in those areas is, what's missing? Like, what is missing in those areas of your life? Because you might not even know what you're missing in those areas, right? So let's just go to health and vitality, right? Well, maybe you are working out consistently. Maybe you are, well, I know you're not, but yeah, you're a hunter. You are in shape, brother. But maybe you are working out consistently, but maybe you just don't have the right diet. Maybe you just haven't figured that out. Maybe you have energy on certain days, but then you're just wiped the next day. So what you're missing is more of a consistent plan to help you be prepared to tackle the day, right? Yeah. So what are the areas in your life? Like, what are those areas? What are you missing? So you have to identify that as well too.
You got it. And I was just having this conversation with a agent team, husband and wife agent team, and they were talking about, so many, they see so many people filter through the gym who come in and just work and work and work and don't see any improvement. But they said that's only one side of it, right? The other side of that is the diet.
Yeah.
And one of them said something to the effect of, you can't out-train a bad diet.
Yeah,
or something
so
like
that's
that.
good.
Like,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
right.
that's brilliant. Like, it's so true, right? Because you could go to the gym and crush it every single day, but if you eat like a coyote, like I do, you're never going to make any headway on it.
Yeah.
So, and which is awesome. Going back to your 75 hard, that's a part of it. That's a component in that 75 hard, right? You got to have the diet, you got to have the exercise, and so on. So, that is so true. And what I think you're doing is, I think you're going like 2 or 3 deep on each one of those.
Yes.
Right.
That's exactly right. The last one here is, and this one I never even thought about. This one was really great when we came up with this. It was confusing. What is confusing in your life right now? So I'll dive into that to kind of give an explanation.
Good, because I'm confused.
Right. Oh, too well. Well played right there, brother. Well played. But what's confusing? So, one of the things, like, let's just say that you're trying to get this morning ritual down, right? You're just like, man, I think the morning ritual can be very confusing. Because what should I be focused on? What should I be doing? When you say that I should be adding spiritual content to my life, I'm really not quite sure like what kind of spiritual content I should be adding, right? Or I need to be like I need to be working out a little bit in the morning. Well, what does that really look like? And when you're confused, you'll doubt it.
Yep.
And you won't implement it.
Yep.
Right? So it's not the fact that it's missing. It's not necessarily the fact that it's broken because you haven't even started it.
Yeah.
Right? You're just confused about the process. So what is confusing in your life that you know that you should be adding, or that you know that you should be tackling, but you just don't know how to do it?
Yeah. And that's a huge thing. I see that on the daily basis here, right? I think the biggest detractor for any part of our business is that confusion. And right now I'm seeing it in confusion with technology.
Right.
Right? Some of these people that we're here to train, they just don't grasp the technology part, and because it's confusing to them, they're like, nope, I'm just not going to deal with it.
Yes.
Right? And so because of that, it holds them back. And if you could just get them to see, hey, listen, it's not this boogie monster. It's just ones and zeros. You follow the process, it works. And I think once you make them see that, then the confusion goes away.
Yes.
Now the apprehension is gone as well.
Right. Because the confusing adds fear.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And nobody wants fear in their life, and they always typically run away from fear. So, and this is the hardest step. I mean, that's why it's number 4, to be honest with you, because once you figure out what's actually working, once you figure out what's broken, and you start to implement some strategies to fix that broken, and then you get what's fine. When you find what's missing, you can always add what's missing. Right. But confusing is tough because you have to do research, you have to find people, you have to do implementation, then you have to do correction. Like, it's not an easy process to fix what's confusing in your life, but it's definitely probably the most impactful because you've already identified it as something that's important in your life.
Yep.
You know that you need to implement it. It's already kind of somewhat a part of your strategy, but you're just not doing any of the work.
No, and you've got to get to the why, right? And we talk about that on, when we're like recruiting agents, right? Get to their why. And if you cannot distinguish that why, then nothing's going to happen. You're not going to move the needle one way or another.
Right.
So,
well, in establishing that why, I mean, this is kind of a sidetrack real quick, but establishing the why, most people, not just agents, but most people have never been asked the question, why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
Like, what is the reasoning for you to show up every day and work as hard as you have to work in order for you to start to see fulfillment in your life? Why do you do it?
Yep.
You have to unpack that, and most people don't even know how to unpack it because they've never even been challenged with that question of why.
That is so true. And again, like I said, until you figure that out, you're not going to move the needle one way or another.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Dude, 20 minutes already.
I can't believe it.
Yes, right. All right, guys. Hey, listen, we're going to cut it short here. Well, not going to cut it short. We're going to cut it now because it's already been nice and long. But hey, listen, there's 4 questions you need to be asking yourself. What you allow is what you will continue to do in every aspect of your life. Fill the blank in, and then ask yourself, what's working, what's broken, what's missing, what's confusing, so that you can start to add those to your daily routines, to your daily activities, to the things that you know that you need to accomplish so that you can enjoy and you become the best version of yourself.
You got it.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, you guys have an awesome rest of your week, and we will look forward to talking to you very soon in the next episode.